Hi guys, and welcome to Unit 4 in Com 110. So Unit 4 is completely focused on verbal communication. So we will spend some time in this unit sort of discussing the power of words, how they can affect our relationships, and sort of how we form some of the meaning around different words. So I'm going to walk you through some of our assignments for this week. I apologize for the lack of video. I'm recording on my laptop and the bandwidth on this thing is not quite as good as my home computer. So I'm going to flip down and just show you a couple of the Unit 4 resources. So we have two different PowerPoints. One is just kind of detailing the basics of verbal communication, and then the second really looking at the power of words and how they develop and sort of how this influences our worldview and our communication with others. So two pretty interesting pieces. I cover both of those in this video lecture, so I would really suggest looking at that as well for this week's content. All right, let's scroll down to our assignments. So for the first assignment, there's a quick article here, and this particular article just looks at sort of how our verbal skills have changed over the years. We are much more of a text-based society at this point, so we spend a lot more time communicating via mediated communication, although you'll learn in that overview, written communication is still considered verbal communication. So it's the use of language. But just sort of looking at how the sort of prevalence of mediated communication has changed our vocabulary, the way we structure sentences, and just altered some of the ways that we communicate verbally. So a good quick read there. Then I'm going to ask you to jump into Unit 4 and provide an opinion on the piece. So do you agree with the author? Do you disagree? And make sure when you're responding to this that you are pulling examples from the article. So if you agree with the author's claims, make sure to go back and cite sort of the article and what claims you agree with, or pull examples that they use, that type of thing. Again, when you look at the second question, really try to pull examples from your personal experience as well to illustrate your claims. It's the biggest tip I can give you in completing things in Com. That shouldn't be too big of an assignment, but something to kind of get you thinking about the role that verbal communication has in our relationships with others and how that might have changed over the years. One of our big assignments for this week is a forum. I do not include very many forums. I think that they can be very useful in certain circumstances, but this is not a class where you will see a lot of, post and respond, because I just don't necessarily know that's always the most engaging way to have a discussion. But for this particular assignment, I really do enjoy the forum. So what you're going to do is create an initial post, and I'm asking you to identify one label that's been given to you that empowers you. So are you strong? Maybe it's a label of a parent, etc. And one label that's been given to you that has a negative connotation. So I am forcing you to think of one for each, even if you don't feel that you've had too many labels that have been given to you that have a negative connotation. Just try to come up with something. And then for each of those words, I'd like you to describe how that label has affected your experience, affected or impacted your communication with others, changed how you view yourself, and make sure you have a solid paragraph, probably 2, for each label. Again, pulling in personal examples is a great way to illustrate how that particular word has affected you or your view of self. So I'm looking for particular examples from your experience there. So once you've done your initial post, I am going to encourage you, and we'll send you reminders to try to do that before the weekend, and that way we all have time to respond to at least 2 classmates. So the other piece is to go ahead and respond to at least 2 of your classmates. I do grade those responses and have them reflect the quality and time you've put into them. So, really make sure that you are responding to them in kind. And you will notice that you are subscribed to the, what am I losing my words? Forum. But I only do 2 forums in this whole class, so you only be subscribed twice. But that just kind of gets it to your email and lets you know what's going on. So I do kind of force that so that you're aware of how people are responding. The next assignment, a connotative versus denotative. So you will look in your reading and in the PowerPoints and the lecture at the difference between denotative definitions and connotative definitions. So the short of that is that denotative definitions are the dictionary definition or a socially agreed upon definition. So for example, if you look at vacation, When I looked it up in the dictionary, it was an extended period of recreation, especially one spent away from home or in traveling. A connotative definition is a personal definition. So your personal definition for that word, it often sort of gets at the feelings and emotions behind the word as well. So for example, for me, if I'm talking about vacation, I'm really talking about probably going to the beach or the mountains with my family. I try to unplug when I go on vacation. I'm very connected to my email and my phone. So to me, when I use that word vacation, it is just a break from technology as well. So as you can see, this is a very personal definition for me, and it should be very clear that your connotative definition is quite a bit different from your denotative. So you're going to click on this, and this is a worksheet you're going to fill out. So there will be a list of words. You're going to provide a denotative definition, your connotative definition. So again, what I'm really looking for here is that your connotative definition is quite a bit different from the dictionary definition. So if you're going to tell me, the dictionary definition of love is to have an affection for someone, well, I want to know, who is it that symbolizes you, or what symbolizes love for you at this moment? Is it a person? Is it a family member? Is it a spouse? Is it the love that you have for your pets? And then in the last column, after you've done the denotative and the connotative dictionary definition, there's a column in the right side that's going to ask you how that definition has changed over time. So if we take the word love, sort of how we identified and defined love at 5 is probably very different than now. So I'm looking for you to think about what life experiences have changed those. So maybe moving away from family, or becoming a parent, or graduating. Those could all be examples of ways that connotative definition has changed. And our connotative definitions change all the time. So that should be a pretty easy category to fill out. But just make sure that your connotative definitions are very different. And then for the last column, you really discuss what life experiences have led to your sort of evolution of that connotative definition. And then lastly, your Unit 4 quiz. So just don't forget that you can take the quiz twice. It does average those grades, but you do have 2 shots at it. All right. Well, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know, and I look forward to seeing you on Moodle.